What's going on, everybody? My name is Elijah, and I am a recovering addict. My drug of choice was heroin, as I've stated before, but I want to start a video series on TikTok, and I'm going to be telling you stories of when I was in active addiction. I'm going to be calling it the Dope Chronicles. There's going to be a playlist on my page for it and whatever. The reason I want to do this is to bring clarity to some people, because I know there's a shit ton of people out there who have probably gone through the same things that I have, but don't want to talk about it, or they think that they're alone or some other shit, right? You're not. You're not alone. I've gone through a lot, and I've had a lot of bullshit happen. So, the first story that I'm going to tell you is how I started in my addiction, right? So, I went off to a military academy. I was gone for 6 months and I came back. When I came back home, my brother, older brother, he's 10 years older than me, he threw me a party. We drank, we got really fucking high, and it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. At the time, it was a lot of fun. Anyway, the next day, my brother asked me for a ride. And I asked him where. He told me Detroit. I asked him why. And he said he's got to pick something up. I was like, okay, do you have gas money? He said no. I was like, all right. Then what are you going to give me, bro? Because I don't have money to just go out to Detroit and back and fuck, like, that's expensive. He was like, I got you. I was like, all right. So we went out to Detroit. And I took him to this house. He went inside. He was in there for maybe 10 minutes. He comes out, and he's like, here. And he hands me a little folded up piece of paper. It was a lottery ticket, but a little folded up piece of paper. I was like, what the fuck is this? He was like, it's an opiate, dude. He's like, just do it. He's like, you'll feel great, and you'll like it. He's like, remember I gave this to you a few years ago when you was 15? And I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, it's the same thing. I was like, oh, alright. I was like, fuck it, like, whatever. I was going through a lot of shit emotionally at that time, so I was like, yeah, fuck it. Did it up my nose, boom, immediately. And then about 15 minutes later, about 15 minutes later, I was driving, I was started nodding out and shit. I was like, oh, whoa. I had to smack myself awake, pour some water on me and shit. I was like, man, like, that shit is strong. He was like, talking shit, whatever. Because he had been doing it. That was like my first time doing it since I was 15. Because that was the first time I ever tried heroin, was when I was 15 years old. In my grandma's basement. So, we got home, and a couple weeks went by, and we kept on doing it, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, my mom had enough. She didn't know what we were doing, but she knew we were doing something that we shouldn't be. And she was tired of it. We weren't cleaning the house. We weren't fucking doing none of our chores. All we were doing was leaving for hours and then coming back home and taking up space. So on Valentine's Day, can't remember the year, I think it was 2015. On Valentine's Day, my mom handed both me and my brother a Valentine's Day card. On the outside of it, it said, what makes a son so special? Opened it up, and just like a jack-in-the-box, a fucking eviction notice was inside. And yeah, we had 30 days to get out of my mother's house. We ended up being homeless on the street for a minute. Then we made our way to a hotel in Lake Orion. Got a job at Burger King. Things were starting to look up. We weren't using because we couldn't. We couldn't get out to Detroit because my mom took my car from me because it wasn't in my name. So, we were doing good, working, everything. And then right below us, in the same hotel, there was a man. And my brother was talking to him one day, and I come home, and there's a giant pile of dope on the table. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, where'd you get this? He was like, dude from downstairs gave it to me. He was like, didn't tell me anything. He said, I don't need money or nothing. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, fuck it. So what did we do? We busted out line after line after line. A couple weeks went by. Me and my brother got our first paycheck, paid for our time to be in the hotel, and then this dude comes upstairs, boom, knocks on the door. He's like, hey, had another half gram, gave it to us, and said, on your next check, you gotta pay me for that one. It's $50. And I was like, oh, fuck, here it is. Like, okay, now that we've been using for a couple weeks, now you want some money. Makes sense, right? He got us hooked first, and then started charging, knowing damn well we ain't gonna say no. So, that's what it was. That's what it was for a while. And then I went out to my cousin's house, and that was the first place that I ever used a needle. And my cousin injected me with crystal meth, right? And I was great. I felt amazing. I was zooming around everywhere, cleaning up shit, doing everything. And then I got back home, and I had a needle because my cousin gave me the one that he used on me. And I was like, I wonder what heroin feels like. And that was the first time that I shot up dope. And from there it was all downhill. So that's my first story. That's how I got started with my addiction. You know, everybody has a start, and that is mine. So I'm gonna drop my we're gonna consider this the first episode of the Dope Chronicles, but I'm gonna drop another one on Monday. So if you want to be a part and you want to hear my journey through my addiction all the way to sobriety, you know, just be patient, and I'll tell you when the videos are going to be dropped. It's going to be dropped on Monday. So stay looking out. Much love. And to anyone out there who is suffering from addiction, if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. I'm here for you. I know how hard it is to do shit alone. I've been doing things alone for a long time. So, with that being said, I hope y'all have a great day, and stay up, find your reason, and get sober, because you are important whether you want to believe it or not.